After the break, the Popper gave us the clearest sign yet this week that immigration in this country is out of control. They are desperately trying to fix the mess they created by bringing in a record 1 million migrants. Now the government says universities will need to share the load, so the number of international students will be capped at 270,000. Joining me now is Leith Van Onselen, co-founder of Macro Business. Leith, good to see you as always. Is this another sign Labor has had its foot on the immigration accelerator for too long? Now they want universities to help them out.
Yeah, I think so. So, it's worth recalling that in Labor's first federal budget in October 2022, Labor tipped that we'd have 470,000 net overseas migration in the first 2 years. Instead, we had around 1 million. So that's pretty much why we have a rental crisis at the moment. We've basically got an extra 500,000 renters into the country. And now, obviously, Labor's trying to use the international student route as one way to reduce immigration, which I think is a good idea. That being said, Danica, I think these reforms are pretty are basically half measures. They don't go hard enough. They should deliver, obviously, a slightly slower volume, which is a good thing. Take us back to 2019 levels, which I'll add were ridiculously high. Back then, Australia had basically the highest concentration of international students in the advanced world out of all major advanced nations, and they simply want to take us back to there. Because I think Labor should have aimed for a much smaller system of very high quality. And the way you get that high quality is you raise financial requirements. You also increase. You basically implement strict testing before students come here. So basically entrance exams, those sorts of things. And if they'd done that, they would have actually improved the quality of student that comes to study, and they would have been genuine students rather than people looking to come here for work and residency. And we could have had smaller numbers. So I think that's where Labor's erred.
Yeah, and we know, of course, migration is part of a huge housing demand right now. Labor told us it would build 1.2 million new homes by 2028. But Leith, new construction data shows it will likely be a pipe dream for Labor.
Oh, look, that's 1.2 million homes over 5 years, which is 20,000 homes a month, 240,000 a year, is an absolute myth. It was never going to happen. It was fantastical. Just to put that into perspective, Australia's highest ever construction year was 2017, where in a single 12-month period we did 223,500. That was our best ever year, and that was 7% below just 1 year of Albo's target. And that was when we had interest rates of 1.5%. We also didn't have builders folding. We had construction costs about 40% lower than they are now. And obviously builders weren't competing against big build infrastructure projects. So it was a lot easier back then. And also add that during that building boom, that was when we saw all the high-rise rubbish, the flammable cladding, the Opal and Mascot towers, the balcony defects, the water leaks, all those sorts of things. So it was very low-quality building. So even if we were to magically meet Albo's target of 20,000 homes a month, the chances are that it'd be high-rise rubbish, similar to the high-rise rubbish we got in the second half of last decade. So it probably wouldn't be the greatest situation anyway. It'd be very, very poor quality.
No, and we don't want that. And as you said, it's been a myth from the very beginning. Now, look, annual inflation fell to 3.5% in July, down from 3.8% in June. What does this mean now for interest rates?
Look, I don't think it means a whole lot. I think the Reserve Bank's going to stay on hold for basically until inflation starts to fall a lot more, or we get a spike in unemployment. And I don't think we're going to get either of those things to enough of a degree, this year. There was some good news in that inflation data, though. The number of items that were growing at less than 2% annually is actually outnumbering the number of items that are growing above the RBA's target of 3%. So what it means is that we are getting a broadening of disinflation. But the problem with it, Danica, is that most of this disinflation has been caused by the tradable sector. So what that is, that's basically all the stuff that comes off a container ship. Inflation there is only tracking at 1.5% annually. The problem that the Reserve Bank has is that the domestic inflation, so all your services stuff, all your non-tradables, they're actually growing at 5% a year. So we still have this sticky inflation problem, in areas like rents and insurances and those sorts of things.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see it. Leith Van Onselen, great to have you on as always. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Yeah, thanks, Danica.